For today's mini lesson, what we're going to talk about is finding the GCF of the following numbers. Well, first we need to understand what the GCF represents. It's an acronym for the greatest common factor. In other words, it could also be called the greatest common divisor, the GCD. And really what that means is I'm looking at these three numbers and I'm trying to figure out what is the biggest number I can divide them all by. So to figure this out first, one of the strategies that we can do is called a factor tree to figure out what the prime factorization of each would be. So if I start with 16, 16 can be broken up into 8 times 2, and we worked on prime factorization before, and we see that 8 is 4 times 2, and we break this down until we get that 16 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the 4th power. 48 is 2 times 24. 24 is 2 times 12, 2 times 6, and 2 times 3. Well, as we continue going through this, we find the prime factorization of 48 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, or 2 to the 4th times 3. And we do the same thing for 72. 2 times 36, 2 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 3. After we do this, we recognize that we have some things that are common. We see that these factors, these common factors are, they share 1 2, 2 2s, and 3 2s. What this tells me is that I have the greatest common factor, GCF, or greatest common divisor, is 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the 3rd power, which ends up giving us 8. And that tells me that I can divide each of these values by 8. So if we move over here and have the same thing, 52 is 2 times 26. 26 is 2 times 13, and now we have prime factorization because all I have left is prime numbers. 64 is 2 times 32, 2 times 16, 2 times 8, and here 64 is really 2 to the 6th power, and 52 is 2 to the 2nd power times 13. 104 is 2 times 52. And you'll notice here, we're going to have then the same factor tree off of 104. 2 times 26 and 2 times 13. So I can just start looking for what they share. Well, each of them has a 2, another 2, and that is it. That's all they all have, all three of them have in common. So our GCF, our greatest common factor, is 2 times 2, or 4. That is the biggest number these all can be divided by. Down here we talk about LCM, another acronym. What this represents is our least common multiple. So what I'm trying to find is a number I can turn both 20 and 12 into using multiplication, and it's the smallest one. So understanding that multiplication is repeated addition, what I'm really doing is I'm skip counting. 20, 40, 60, 80, and I continue this, and I keep checking with 12, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, until I see what they have in common. And we see 60. Our least common multiple for 20 and 12 our least common multiple would be 60. And the way that I got this was really 20 times 3 is 60, and 12 times 5 is 60. And you're looking for that factor that they, or that product that they both have. 6 and 24. Well, this is one where we should just always start by looking at these two numbers, and I notice as I skip count by 6, I see that 6 is actually a factor of 24. So 24 is a multiple of 6. So our least common multiple is simply 24. And you'll see that that is what they share. And that's one of the things that you should always look for right away. So in today's video, we talked about the two differences: greatest common factor, greatest common divisor, and the least common multiple. Factors were breaking things down. Multiples were getting larger. We're multiplying. We're skip counting.